Hello everyone, this is Kaikada again from IMVU, and this time I'm going to be teaching you how to edit the hair on your pixel dolls. So I'm going to pull up my pixel doll right now. So far all I've done is gotten the hair base in, which is just basically an outline of the hair, and my hair is black. What I've done is I've smudged the edges of the hair just a bit and the hairline. And I've done that with my smudge tool here, which is shaped like a finger. And any custom brush or just a circular tool scaled down and just smudges it up. What I'm going to be doing now is the actual hair strands, which can take a long time depending on how fast you're at it, and I tend to take my time with it. I'm going to be using the pencil tool and a very, 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 very small brush, much finer than that. So you want a line that's that thin. I think that's good. I don't think you can go any thinner than that. I might be wrong. Well, in any case, you want a very thin brush. And just like how it looks, all you're going to do is draw each individual strand. People have different ways of doing it, but this is a special request tutorial, so I'm going to be doing it the long way. But don't worry, I will fast forward through the long and boring part. So here we go. I'm just following the hairline, basically. Following the way I think the hair would flow naturally, so it's down. You don't want to be making marks that are just like all over the place for no reason. That is the wrong way to do it. You can also use a reference of your avatar's actual hairstyle, which I'm just doing mine from memory. This is not the right hairstyle. Alright, I'm going to be fast forwarding through all this. Okay, so this is just about done. I've gone ahead and went a little sloppy with it, but that's okay because I'm going to clean it all up in such areas where it cuts through her face. I don't really mind that the strands go outside of my outline part because it's just how hair is. It doesn't stay in line. So, now we've got her whole head of hair outlined very roughly. Now, I've used the color white because her hair color is black, but if you, say, are editing brown hair, you want to use a lighter shade of that brown to represent the hair strands, and if you're doing blonde hair, same thing, only much lighter because you don't really see the strands with blonde hair. Now, obviously I'm not going to keep the hair looking just like this because it looks like something out of a children's book. What I'm going to do now is play around with the opacity and my layer mode. So right now I'm going to put my layer mode on grain merge. This sort of tones down the hair color a bit, but I'm still not really super satisfied, so I'm just going to lower the opacity down a bit. Just going to play with it. I seem to like it there. The opacity for this image is 17.8. Now, I'm still not done with the hair because now I need to play around with the shine of the hair and the shadows. So, I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer. I'm going to name it, let's start off with hair shadows first. So, hair shadows. What I'm going to do is select the color black. Again, if you have a different color hair, you might want to use a different, darker shade of that hair color. I'm just going to go ahead and take my paintbrush tool and select the areas where I want the shadows to be in her hair. When I'm doing this, I'm thinking of where shadows would be in the actual hair. The light on this pixel doll seems to be coming from the front, which means it's hitting the front of her face and it goes in shadows. So I'm going to guess that if the light would actually be hitting her hair, it would go behind all this, her front thing. There would be a little cavity here, a little shadow here maybe where that hair strand sticks out. There's always some shadows at the roots to give it more depth. Some here. So what this does basically is it breaks up the hair from being just one large shape into many shapes, and that makes it a little more realistic, I think, for the way I edit hair, which I know isn't the best, but it's something. I'm going to add some shadows underneath her jawline. And where the ponytail comes up in here, I'm going to add shadows. Give it a little depth. And in the actual ponytail itself, I'm going to create shadows so that that ponytail isn't just one big shape, it becomes many shapes. Okay. So now you have the hair roughly broken up into different shapes. What I'm going to do now is use my ever favorite smudge tool. You can also use the Gaussian blur, which you can go to by getting filters, blur, Gaussian blur, also known as G-blur. But I have started preferring to use the smudge tool. So I'm just going to use the smudge tool and I'm going to smudge in those darks more. You don't have to be too perfect about it, just spread them out. And I'm going to spread them according to the way the hair would go. So for this ponytail, I'm just spreading it up and down. My brush is being weird. Okay. You can see already it's giving the hair a little bit more of a depth to it. You're going to make sure you smudge in, or if you're using the Gaussian blur tool, you don't have to worry about it too much. Just don't blur it too much. I'd recommend maybe blurring it only up to 40. Depending on your the size of your pixel doll. This is a large pixel doll, which is why it took so long to do the hair in the first place. Again, it's going to be a little messy, but I'm not worried about that right now, because I can clean that all up. Now that you've got your shadows, you may want to play around with that by duplicating the layer to make your shadows darker or not. I'm going to choose not to for mine, but depending on your hair shade, you may choose to. Now, the hair still isn't popping much, but that's okay, because now we're going to do the hair lights. Using white usually works for many hair colors, but if you prefer, better to use a lighter shade of your hair, especially depending on your pixel doll size, then you should. But for mine, I'm just going to use white, taking the white brush, and again doing the same thing I did with the shadows, just thinking about where the light would hit the hair. So for mine, I'm going to say it'll hit the front, maybe just the top here of her hair, and pulled back into the ponytail, and then the actual ponytail, I'm going to guess that it would probably only hit the high points. It's going to hit some of the strands of her hair in the front there, maybe on the side. I'm not going to touch that back curl, but I will do some in the front. And you're going to do the same thing. You can either use Gaussian blur, which is filters, blurs, Gaussian blur, or you can take the smudge tool like I'm doing and just smudge it in. Remember to follow the way the hair strand goes, or your whole hair in general. This makes it much easier when you do the next few steps. You don't want your hair strand lights to be like a straight line, which is why some people may prefer to use the Gaussian blur, but if you think you have more mouse control, you can just use the smudge, like I like to do. Just get the ponytail area. Alright, but obviously that doesn't look right. What you're going to do is go to layers. I'm going to see what overlay looks like, and it doesn't look like much. So I'm going to try and duplicate my layers to bring out that highlight. And there you see, I've duplicated my highlights layer about 3 times. And that really brings out the highlights on the top of her head, on that front bang, and the back of her ponytail. You can duplicate it as much as you like, but I think that 3 is just right. So now what I want to do, I'm just going to go back. I'm going to get rid of those extra layers. I'm just going to clean up. I'm going to put this back on normal. I'm just going to clean up any stray white edges that go off the hair and onto the skin. Because as you see, when you duplicate it, it becomes really noticeable. You also may want to clean up some of that hair, some of the hairlights going off the actual avatar in general and onto the background image, because you have to think when you post this to IMVU or wherever you're posting this pixel doll to, the background, and you don't want people to see that you're a sloppy editor. And I think I just about got it all. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that back on overlay and duplicate it about 3 times. Now for my hair shadows rather, now I'm going to take the time and clean up where it goes off or gets onto my avatar, into my pixel doll's actual skin. Here. There's some on the background there I need to clean off. Some here. Oh, my dog's barking. And there's some at the top over here. Shush. At this rate, he's going to be in every video. Okay. Okay, and that is pretty much how I edit my avatars, my pixel doll's hair. If you have any other techniques that you like to do, feel free. Some other techniques would be randomly adding a black and randomly adding shadows and lights and just smudging them in and lowering it. That's fine too. I sometimes use that technique when editing avatar hair to give it a more realistic approach, which takes even longer. Yeah, so this is how I edit my avatar's hair. Pixel doll's hair. Thanks for watching.